Me today, I've got Amanda Wilde, and we're going to be talking about Outbound. Outbound, is it dead? Should we be doing it? If so, what should we be doing? Maybe we should just be sitting in the office hoping the phone's going to ring? I don't know, but Amanda's going to tell us. Amanda, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just easy peasy, Amanda Wilde.
Amanda Wilde on LinkedIn. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. So, Amanda, just give us a little background about your sales career journey.
Absolutely. It was all accidental.
Sales often is.
Often is, yes. I think there's a sales course in school now, but there sure wasn't back in the day. I was an executive assistant for many, many years as I was raising a young family by myself. And then I decided to take a career pivot into insurance, but on a just connecting with people, like a helpful customer service side. And I had an amazing manager that's like, you're upselling people without even trying. You're just listening, learning, helping. And you're passing all of that money over to those guys over there in the corner. You need to go do that. So it really was a leader that saw those attributes in me, and maybe breaking down some of the preconceived notion of what a salesperson was that I didn't see myself as. And then I ended up, insurance wasn't going kind of anywhere. I've run through harassing all my friends and family. So decided to actually go into tech, and started out as a commercial account executive in an inbound role, but found my love of outbound as the control, the opportunities that I really wanted, the control over my destiny, not some stranger hitting a demo request button. That's not my style. So that's kind of where the magic, I think, of my love affair with outbound started.
And so you've gone through that process of, you've been in sales and you're now leading in sales.
Absolutely. So I was an individual contributor for about 4 years, and then I went into managing a BDR team, and now I lead the global team as the director of business development at Alita.
Fantastic. What a journey.
It's like a rocket ship journey. When I think back, I'm like, it was only 2018 when I got started in tech. It seems a little crazy, but if you're a hard worker and you're tenacious and you really want to help people and you love what you do, like, I think the career progression you can make in tech sales is just like something I don't think any other industry you could experience it in. It's not for the faint of heart, though, as we know.
So I look down my notes to think, okay, what's the next question? And in my notes, I've got I've written, outbound is dead. Discuss.
Yeah, I would say spray and pray is dead, and thank goodness for that. Not outbound. I think this is a resurgence of what outbound should be. Right, is a calculated effort to connect with the people that really need your product, and they don't know it yet.
And what we have to do is that we have to go out and somehow or other make them aware. I've always called it desire building,
Yes.
but it's about finding people who are not aware of your product and getting them to want to buy it.
I would say it's also finding people that aren't aware of their problem. Right? Some people think, hey, this is just the way it is. But maybe it doesn't need to be that way, but maybe they don't know that. So it's also our job to drive awareness of not only our brand and our product, but a problem and maybe a dream state that they don't realize that could elevate their career, could impact their company. It could have a lot of really good effects. But if you don't know, you're just sitting there kind of going through the trenches and getting things done without knowing that there's an impactful solution that can help you.
So you run a team of SDRs.
Yeah.
So we often see a debate on LinkedIn that SDRs no longer have an impact to the world. Therefore, that means you don't have a job, Amanda. But so why are SDR and the role of SDR, why is it still important?
I think companies need to invest in their SDRs. They're not just, someone they plop in there and say, okay, send out 2,000 emails and just hit the phones. We have to teach them about our ideal customer profile and our personas, and teach them the language so they can speak like our prospects and really connect and understand. We also have to teach them to bring their authentic selves to that, be a human being, not memorize scripts and go out in the wild. So I think I think the model that companies were using to rapidly scale an SDR team, that's dead. Now you actually have to invest in them. You have to invest in a leader that's going to know what they're doing to be able to show them to do the right thing. It's easy to say, go send 2,000 emails. You can do that with SalesLoft. You can write a whole bunch of emails with AI. They all are awful. And I think that's kind of what we're up against, right? Is like all of the noise and all the shortcuts. There isn't any anymore. That's the difference.
You talk about understanding the client problems. What do you mean?
Well, current problems, as we all heard about, the Spamageddon, everything happening on, February 1st. But I've seen this coming for years, and I'm excited about it because, it does devaluate the job that I do and the perception of what a business development or sales development rep is. We have a ton of value. My team is so impactful to Alita. We've driven 30% of revenue this year. We deliver pipeline in our named accounts, and we do it calculated with effort, with like really teaching them social selling, teaching them how to write an email, right? Those core copywriting skills, teaching them all these things. So that's the things that we need to do to make sure that we actually elevate our outbound, and that the Google things that are coming down the pipe in February actually won't matter to the people who are actually doing this correctly.
So I remember you telling me this when we had our preparation call, which was about you teach SDRs copywriting. What do you mean?
I actually teach them, why a subject line matters and what it should look like. What should the format, what should you say in the body of your email? I give them permission to have a little fun and sound like themselves, and to experiment, make mistakes, why your call to action matters. And we, using some images or some memes, or like why sending a half an hour recording to a webinar, no one's watching that. It's like, so don't do that. So there's just a lot of things to just elevate and like remove. You can create efficiencies to scale quality without taking shortcuts. So it really is teaching them how to social sell, how to write an email, how to act like themselves, how to use video authentically. All of those things together are what matters to make sure and I take that into being an AE, and now they can effectively carry that skill on with them, which is very important for their career growth as well.
And I think it's wonderful that you're investing in them early in their career on the basis that they're going to move on. Because what I struggle with is if you go into schools and say, "Do you want to be a salesperson?" They say no. And what we need is to be in a situation where people are, what do you want to do? I want to be a salesperson.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think even starting at Alita, they had a very different model before I started. It very much was, high volume, get out there as many accounts as you can. It was really, they were rewarded on pipeline only. And there was a lot of it was activity metrics and scorecards. I kind of threw all that in the garbage, quite frankly, and went back I would like to see quality, A/B testing. I want to teach them about the data. I want them to start building a brand on social media. I want them to understand how this helps them in their role and how this helps them in their career, because these are things that, I wish someone had taught me a little early. I stumbled across them from just being super curious and always reading and learning from others. But it's been impactful for me as a leader to see, those light bulbs go off and see my team excited and seeing them add even more ideas. And then I spread this across, and, I lead a lot of prospecting sessions with our AEs because a lot of them have been selling for 10 years and outbound has changed. That big, long basho email, not really working anymore. A lot of them don't know how to use social selling, don't know what to post. So it really is making that a little more accessible as well to everybody, because outbound absolutely can be effective, but most people are doing it wrong.
So, I'm just reading my notes, and so we're currently. It would seem that we're in this situation where we have longer procurements. People are taking longer to actually make decisions.
Yeah.
And we're in the situation where we can be in a pursuit, and our contact at the customer gets laid off.
Yeah.
Which means we go. It's a bit like snakes and ladders, where you all the way back down to the beginning again. So what are you doing with your sales team to combat those things?
Yeah, I think we need more coverage. I personally think 3x coverage isn't enough. So I think making sure AEs are prospecting and finding opportunities, BDRs are, and then marketing is as well. It's not just, oh, like marketing, go figure it out, or BDRs go figure it out. It really is all hands on deck. Something I'm excited about at Alita is we're doing some prospecting with the BDRs and AEs. So not just splitting high and low titles, but actually working together and CCing each other on emails, bringing each other into conversations on LinkedIn. And then we want to make sure we're enabling the BDRs to be able to understand how to speak to higher titles because they will naturally be afraid. So it is connecting those relationships with an internal higher title stakeholders for them to realize they're people too, and they're not as scary as they think they are. And I think also I show them examples from our own leadership and from people in my network of emails that people receive that they like. And a lot of it is authentic human language, nice and short, make it really easy. What do you want? What can you do for me? And what do you want me to do? So I think it is living by example and showing them. That is how we break that down, because booking a meeting with a manager, that's one thing. Booking a meeting with the decision maker, that's just going to make everything so much better. And I would also say that's where Outbound comes in. If you're first to the table and you're shining a light on a problem they didn't know they have, you've already beaten all of the competitors to the gate because they're not there yet. So now you set the bar. You write the RFP. You have control. You've laid all the landmines, if you will. So it just gives you more control across the board. That's what we're doing.
Excellent. And so I'm just going through my notes. So social media.
Yeah.
I've written down here, it's not a pitching platform.
Yeah. No pitch slapping. If you take anything out of this, please stop. Absolutely.
Mine's gone up. I'm now getting, I used to get one a week. I'm probably even getting 2 a day now.
Yeah. And are they good?
No, just delete them.
No. Or you just ignore them, or you delete them, or you block them, which is really bad. Or you mark them as spam, really bad. LinkedIn jail is a thing. You don't want to be there. That's kiss of death for a BDR.
I've actually stopped doing that because I've decided that I think LinkedIn thinks I'm a nasty person, keep blocking people. So
you're just going to pre-block people for you.
So I'm just deleting people, and I'm playing as nice as I can.
Yeah, a lot of the times, I actually went through an exercise with my team yesterday, and I showed them some of the LinkedIn outreach I get. It's worse than email. And then when we think about the shifts that are coming in February, everyone's just going to shift to another platform. It's not rocket science to think that's going to be LinkedIn. It's going to get worse.
Yes.
So to be able to stand out on LinkedIn is actually not that hard. Be you. Be a person. Use video. Use voice notes. Don't pitch slap them. Offer value. Educate. Send them third-party articles. It takes between the average of 6 to 8 touches on LinkedIn. It takes a little patience. But if you can do that, you've connected with someone that, people buy from people that they like.
Yep.
You've broken down that stereotype of, if I get on the call with them, they're just going to try to sell me anything. And they're just going to rope me into more calls. And they're going to ask to speak to my boss. And I'm going to have to do all of this work. We're up against the notion of the experiences people have had before us. And a lot of the times they're not very good, right? I've literally not bought software because the experience of purchasing it was too bad. And I bought a competitor I didn't even like. That's how important it is to buyers now. And I think it's really important if champions are going to their leadership to be able to put their neck and their job possibly on the line to ask for this. And that's stressful. So we need to break down as many of those walls as we can. And that's what social media is so great for, is that you can just slow it down a little bit and be a person. We book most of our meetings on LinkedIn from sending a simple video after a connection request that says, hey, great to meet you. Thanks for connecting. Have a great day. And not asking for anything in return. It doesn't sound like, mind-blowing things, but we've all forgotten to be a person because we have AI and we have all these shortcuts and these tools. You can send 1,000 emails with sales off. You can still use all those tools, but they're not going to replace a human connection. But I think that's kind of what's happened on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know there's a company, and I can't say who it is because the person's just been laid off, but they're using SalesLoft to get one meeting. They have to send, 2,500 emails?
Oh, that hurts my heart.
I mean, it's I mean, it's so inefficient, and you're just burning your way through the
Yeah,
annoying people as you go. Because if it takes 2,500, that's 2,499 people who are annoyed of you.
that's an awful lot of people that are going to mark you as spam as
Yeah.
well. I'd be a little concerned. Yeah, I actually use a tool called Atrium to guide my team when it comes to data, so I can actually see their effort and efficiency, can see where their calls, their emails, and their LinkedIn steps, and we have a leaderboard to see I want them to do their job well in as little work as possible, as little effort as possible, so that you can go and get this job done in that 8-hour period, that you can enjoy lunch, you can have a vacation, all of these things.
So we've got 4 minutes left. So I wanted to, we talked about some of the things that a BDR needed to do. So if I was a BDR and I was working for you, Amanda, what things would you teach me?
I would teach you how to build your brand on LinkedIn and what that means. Being active and posting, that helps you, one, look like someone who actually uses the platform. It also helps you in your career growth, as you're not going to stay in your role forever. So that's one thing. The other thing is those copywriting skills I spoke about earlier. I also love cold calls. I still try to steal them from some of my team. So you would have an area to be able to learn together as a team and practice. And you'll also have the ability to be able to iterate on that and try new things as well. So, and I think I teach data so that each person can get there authentically, understand their BDR math, get to like that consistency. The hardest part, I think, about the BDR role is we work so hard over a quarter to have one good month, but we're paid out every month. So wouldn't it be great if we could figure out a plan and a path to be able to be consistent and be able to plan to take PTO off, things like that. So there really is that like mental health aspect that I think we need to talk about more in sales, to be able to set up BDRs and SDRs and AEs to be able to have a plan to prospect and to be able to have that continuously happen and put more of that in their control and just make it more exciting. Sending 2,500 emails, that sounds awful. Who's staying in that job? You're not learning anything. You get made an AE and they say go prospect, and you actually don't know how. You just know how to send 2,500 of the same email. So I think that's the way that I have led my teams authentically, and I'm always learning. So if you want someone that's in the trenches with you and knows how to actually do the job, that's the type of leader that I am, and that's the type of people that I like to bring on my team.
When you say outbound maths, what do you mean?
I like to teach my BDRs to see, okay, work backward. How many emails do you need to send? How many calls do you need to make? How many LinkedIn connection requests and outbounds do you need to do to be able to hit your number? Getting to know what is the channel that works best for me so that you can look for those patterns. I even get them to write out a list of all of the steps in their cadence and meticulously go back to each meeting. Where did they book from? What title were they? What vertical were they? What step? What did I say? There's patterns everywhere if you look from them. So over about a 6-month period, most people will start to understand where to win. You're going to start to see their opportunity to op creation. That conversion rate's going to go up. They're going to become more focused. They're going to be excited about their role. So that's where the magic of that BDR maths comes in.
Right. So is there a silver bullet?
No, it's silver bullet is work. Research, work, and teach your BDRs the ICP and their personas. I am absolutely astounded by how many companies just skip that and they just teach them about features and functions and about the company, but not about the landscape and how it's applied. What is the impact of our solution? How do we expect BDRs to just know that? We need to teach them often in creative ways to make sure that they're always evolving and sharing that knowledge amongst each other as well. That's the silver bullet, is effort.
So my background is selling accounting systems, and my accountant always is amazed that I can talk to him in accountancy language.
Yes.
And I'll say things like, so you're going to use a journal for that? And he'll go, how do you know about that? So I said, well, I've sold to accountants. I know what journals are. And I remember I was training some BDRs, and I had to go over to Dublin. and because it's where the BDRs were. And I said, I've got no slides. I've only got a whiteboard. And they said, well, haven't you prepared? And I said, no. I said, do you know how a finance department works? They said, no one's ever told us. We just get people coming over here with slides explaining what the product can do. Yep. I said, well, let me draw you up how a finance department. And they said, that's amazing. We never were told that.
Yep. I know. It's kind of silly, isn't it? When you think about it, when you kind of just go back for a minute and you think, oh, it actually is. It's not that difficult, but we have to slow down to speed up.
Because I found that when I spoke to the people in finance and I used their terminology and language, they spoke to me back and were more likely to talk to me because they, I only had an inch thick understanding of it. But because I was saying accounts payable or accounts receivable or talking about road traffic accident invoices or something like that, they immediately spoke back to me and respected me for that.
Yeah. And some companies, what you do is not that easy. So you really do need to make sure people understand, the words that you use. A lot of companies, people will just use the words that you use, but that's not your customers' words. And you've lost them already because they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So you've got to make sure if you're using a term, like gut check yourself and see, is that something anyone outside of this company actually knows about? What are the words that they use? That's when everything switched for me. When I was an individual contributor is when I dove into case studies and I talked to CS and I learned about our customer and I listened to calls. I started to really understand the words they use and their problems. That's where everything shifted. So I'm going to continue to stay true to that in my leadership style, is like, you have to teach them that often, practice, because it really does truly make the difference. You're a trusted advisor right out the gate. And a lot of the times you can, personally, I've won deals from just being someone who's like, I trust you. I think this is going to solve my problem. Do I have every single feature function? No. Do I need all of those? No. You need a good solution where you're not going to get fired for buying it. Right? A lot of the time, it's going to be impactful.
That is often that's actually the datum point, which is you need to buy a solution where you won't get fired. And the thing is that people don't understand that because they've gone out and built this fabulous thing, and they're oh, we got this particular feature and this particular feature. I don't care.
I don't care either.
I just don't want to get fired.
Exactly.
Amanda, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. Amanda Wilde. Don't forget the E at the end.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Outbound. It's been really interesting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love talking about it.
It's about, as you well know, because you've read my book, it's a subject very close to my heart. So thank you.
Yep, mine too. Outbound doesn't have to be a dirty word.